What really seemed to break down the talks of their prenup was the infidelity clause that Sharelle wanted in there. All right, we're talking episodes 4 and 5 of W.A.G.s to Riches. Only one real subject with these two episodes to talk about, and that is the relationship between Chad Ochocinco and Sharelle. It was in these two episodes that we saw the prenup discussion between Sharelle and Ochocinco, which seemed to be one of the main problems of why they probably did not end up getting married. But before that, let's first touch upon Stoni throwing it out there to, I believe, Jules about Chad's ways, that Chad is out in the streets sleeping around, which he does have that reputation. He does have a lot of different baby mamas. So Stoni throwing that out there, it's probably true. But Stoni is right. And even though at this point in the season, Sharelle is trying to not necessarily get on Stoni's good side, but apologize for her initial actions of judging her so much and trying to become friendly with her. Stoni is right that she should not be throwing stones, being judgmental about Stoni's life if Sharelle is really just letting Chad sleep around like a lot of these W.A.G.s seem to let their husbands, who end up being exes, sleep around. But let's get to the prenup real quick. The prenup was an interesting discussion, and it really summed up Sharelle's edit as a person this season, because to me, it once again showed that she's a bit of an egomaniac just driven by money, which is how she became a boss bitch, I suppose. But in my opinion, wouldn't boss bitches be able to... Isn't the whole point to make enough money so you don't have to depend on a man? You would think. But then in this prenup, she wants alimony, which Chad only wanted to give her $15K a month, which I think is reasonable. If she makes more money than he does now, I think that was reasonable. Then the discussion came to Chad's podcast money. Should she get a percentage if they get married and then divorce? Should she get as much as 25%? He's saying no because it's his podcast. It's him and Shannon's podcast. And she's saying it started after their relationship and that she's made appearances. She plays a part in supporting. And then he throws it out there that, well, his lawyer throws it out there that he wants 25% of her business with the realtor businesses that she has going on. And of course, she nor her lawyer like that because she started her business before she got with Chad. They come to an impasse, which to me was like, on one hand, I get it. Finances are important in relationships. But if you're not ready for marriage, I think they become even bigger talking points like it did between the two of them here. Now, the edit was interesting, and I don't know if it was an edit or if it was the truth, because what really seemed to break down the talks of their prenup was the infidelity clause that Sharelle wanted in there. That if Chad cheated during their marriage, he would have to pay money, and Chad wanted no part of that. And that was when the negotiations were already going bad. But that was the point that they just kind of ended because Chad wanted no part of that. And like I said, I don't know if that was the edit, but with Ochocinco's reputation and with Stoni throwing out those allegations that Chad is always sleeping around on Sharelle, that kind of made it look true. And so I just go back to once again that Sharelle's been so judgmental this season, especially where Stoni was concerned, that she made it seem like Stoni was just a hoe because she had a sex tape, even though Stoni was not the one that put that sex tape out there. It was done illegally. And yeah, I just can't help but agree that She should not be throwing these stones at Stoni when her relationship looks like it is. I don't want to say fraudulent because that came up later in the season, and I'm just talking about episodes 4 and 5 right now. But honestly, I might just talk about the rest. If you haven't seen the last few episodes, then you might want to end the video here because spoilers or whatever. Although, the show doesn't have many storylines, but I do want to talk about the Jules stuff more so in my last video for the season once again. But in the last episode, Stoni kind of confronts Sharelle about the rumors that Chad sees other women, that Chad loves threesomes. And the season kind of does a full circle because it started with Sharelle judging Stoni, and now Stoni gets a chance to judge Sharelle. And it's kind of a way to teach Sharelle a lesson. Will Sharelle accept that lesson? We'll see if there is a season 2. But I'm glad that the season did come around full circle for Stoni because I felt like she was treated poorly at the beginning because of Sharelle's gang of girls. And it is Sharelle's gang because Sharelle basically makes them money sometimes with the whole realtor stuff. So that's why I feel like there's a lot of follow the leader is because of Sharelle kind of being the boss of them. And that doesn't make for interesting television. So that's why it's good that the show did have a Stoni, that it did have a Jules, that it did have a Sade, which Q taught me how to pronounce correctly. So that was kind of the main topics for episodes 4 and 5. Not a lot to talk about. Sade and Kita kind of made up from their really non-drama. Oh, I did find out that Alexis is a Pisces as well, which is unfortunate because, as I've said in my other videos for this show, I usually try to defend Pisces when I can on these type of shows. I defended Stoni, defended Jules a little bit. I don't think I can defend Alexis. Her following the leader of Sharelle while she is acting like she's just so old and mature doesn't work for me. But we'll get more into that in my last video for the season. A little teaser for my last video as we will once again dive into the Jules drama.